So in mid-March, right before that March 13th, well, actually during that March 13th House vote, me and 49 other TikTok creators were flown out to DC. So TikTok flew us out to DC. They paid for travel and food, right? And
Mhm.
transportation around DC, but we were not paid to be there. And we were never once told by TikTok what to say, who to talk to, anything like that. We were just given opportunities to talk to the media and to speak with our representatives, both senators and congressfolk. And while I was there, I of course got to really forge some pretty strong connections with different creators across the country. And I use TikTok and in a bunch of different ways. I am a content creator. I have made money from TikTok. I also manage different clients TikTok, so I make money that way. I have books on TikTok. I've given workshops. But some of these people literally they have a TikTok shop and they have 90% of their sales come through TikTok, right? Or people that literally almost all of their income comes from the creativity beta program. I can't think of the new name for that, but
Yeah.
they essentially are regularly getting enough views and engagement to make money solely off of the platform. And so there are small businesses that rely on this. There are creators that rely on this. People like stay-at-home moms that essentially can't do another job as easily as they could become a creator, or people that are caring for sick parents, elderly parents, people with dementia, like so on and so forth. There are a lot of people that are relying on TikTok, and I got to spend a lot of time with them. And the stories are quite remarkable. Like my story is pretty basic, right, compared to a lot of the stories that people had. But at the end of the day, it seems like our lawmakers and a lot of the media for that matter really don't understand what is happening on TikTok. They think that it is this really frivolous, silly place when actually there are people doing important work there. There's education happening, there is community building, there are people who are building their businesses, much like what you're doing, Brittany, on TikTok. And that's something that the US government doesn't seem to understand. And so the question is not we should not be regulating social media. It's that we should not be targeting this one platform. We should instead be really looking at comprehensive social media regulation in a way that Europe does. So if Threads, for instance, is still not available in Europe because it doesn't meet the requirements that the European Union has set.
Oh.
So there are ways for the government to sort of regulate what can and can't happen on social media behind the scenes, of course, like with the actual way the platform is built. But that's not really a part of what's happening with this conversation. It's just a blanket ban on this thing that is really improving people's lives.
Right. Well, and I find it actually, or I found it when I did in 2023 watch some of the hearing and whatnot that was going on, and on this very thing last year. I honestly found it quite comical, some of the remarks from some of the members of our government,
Oh yeah.
because um, they were either inaccurate or extremely vague or confusing. And so basically to me, it proved what you just said, that I don't think that it, any or very many of those humans have really used TikTok or even really talk to someone who can educate them better on it from all sides. That to me was almost like it was almost like kind of embarrassing when I saw some of the remarks. Now I know more than the average person. You know more than the average person. We work in this industry, and so I might have a little bit of a snob, approach to it. But still, I mean, somebody that just uses it daily, um, even even a little bit, not professionally, would understand that these people don't know much about it. And so that is kind of the thing that's just blown my mind this whole time, is because I would just think that um if nothing else, you would just get yourself educated somehow so that you could speak um accurately and intelligently on the topic, even if it wasn't something else and not TikTok. Like, I don't know, but it's these realizations you have with when it comes to kind of government situations, that you know what I mean. So when there's one that, like, I understand, there may be all these things that go on in the government. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know exactly what they're doing, whatever. But this one I actually knew. So whenever I watched them, I was like, Dude, do you know what TikTok is?
No, they don't. Or they would, I remember in that hearing, because they actually had hearings
Yeah.
a year ago,
Hmm.
and they would offer examples of harmful things that have happened on social media, and they were never TikTok, right? It was all something that came from YouTube or Facebook.